My name is Dennis Sproul. If you've been involved in an accident, call me and I'll fight for you. I'm not an actor or a celebrity spokesperson. I'm a real trial lawyer, and I've appeared before real judges and real juries on behalf of people with serious injuries. So when I say I'll fight for you, I mean it, and I'll back it up. If you've been hurt in an automobile or 18-wheeler accident, contact me toll free at 866-529-2444, and I'll fight for your rights.
Think about this, Jeff, man. This is the same culture that allowed, how many was it, 120 million blacks to be kidnapped from the west coast of Africa and brought all the way over to this new world. Right. And we still here 400, 500, 6 years later, no help from our brothers in that. This is the same culture. Like what we still have the same disunity.
Are in LA.
Okay, all right. So here, bro, why is that bad if it benefits them?
Because they came together to.
Why is that bad if it benefits them?
This is what
they're doing it because it benefits them.
Because it says African Americans, it specifically mentions us because we were getting resource streams after the civil rights movements and the money was going to us. They decided to not be white no more.
Okay, great. That benefits them. You don't get what I'm trying to say. Why are we mad at them for doing what benefits them?
Because that was a move against us. They were like, hey, these black people get money.
But why are you mad at them for doing what benefits them?
I'm not mad at them for that, but we should do the same thing and on some op shit.
There we go.
So take
your answer, brother. And you know what that means? That's what I've been saying this whole time. Unity. Don't worry about what they're doing. You focus on unifying yourself. See, all this complaining about what the next man is doing that benefits him, that's not taking us any steps further. But she's not going to have any access to that 800 million. Now, she probably was getting $1 million a month from her husband. I can't see how he didn't have $1 million. Here's a black card, baby. Go do what you do. But so now she's in a situation where, damn, I'm about to lose everything because I had a miscalculation. And that's where the old saying go, pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. That's old Southern saying. So she tried to be a hog and now she's about to get slaughtered. You see what I'm saying, bro? So, that's unfortunate, but I don't feel sorry for Dr. Dre. I feel sorry for the guy that's making $15,000 working at Sam's Club or Walmart, who has 2 kids by a woman who has 3 other kids, and he the only one paying child support, and his child support goes to paying all these other kids. That's the one I feel sorry for. Well, I've been practicing law going on 21 years now, licensed in Texas, Louisiana, Illinois, and New York. I'm also licensed to practice in several federal courts and the United States Supreme Court, along with the Fifth Circuit, U.S. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. I started off at Grambling State University. I went to Southern University for law school, graduated in 2000, took the bar July 2000, scored a perfect score. And then when I went on to Tulane University Law Center, where I got an LLM in environmental and energy related law. My love has always been tort law, environmental law. I started off wanting to be a biologist, or I wanted to be a veterinarian. Then I kind of said, I don't know about that. After they had me dissecting rats. So I'm like, I think I'm sticking to the lawyer stuff. But either way, I enjoy what I do. I practice personal injury law in Texas, mostly Texas and Louisiana. And recently, since 2017, I've been heavily involved in environmental tort litigation here in Houston.
Dramatization.
After a car wreck, you may have to fight with a highly trained insurance company rep whose job is to knock your damage claim down and out. It's a bad idea to enter the ring alone against a trained boxer, and it could be a bad idea to fight against a big insurance company by yourself. When the bell rings, Attorney Dennis Sperling will be there to fight for your rights. If you've been seriously injured in a car wreck, call me, Attorney Dennis Sperling, at 866-529-2444. That's 866-529-2444.
Hey, what's up, everybody? If you appreciate the format and you appreciate what we're doing here, then make sure you contribute to the Cash App, make sure you contribute to the PayPal, make sure you donate to the Super Chat. It's only you and your contributions that keep this thing going. Thanks. And we got a lot of stuff going on politically. And the question that I presented today for the brothers here is, this is my statement, just because Trump has been voted out doesn't mean that the show is over. 70 million fervent followers voted for him in 2020, despite knowing all of his shortcomings. Trump is a symptom. He is a reflection of how nearly one half of Americans feel. How does this affect Black men? Let's talk about it. And as the opening statement, it was 2021 and beyond, 70 million Trump voters aren't going anywhere. Look, unless you've been living under a rock, you know that 5 people have been shot and killed in Washington, D.C. As of now, related to the protest outside the Capitol building. One of them is this gentleman, Benjamin Phillips. He basically runs a Trump website, pro-Trump website called Trumparoo, where patriots can mobilize against the corrupt, communist, Marxist, scummy Democrats. Here's another one. We just learned avid Trump supporter Kevin Greeson, who regularly posted online about getting his guns and taking the country back, was one of the 4 people who died in the siege. It was 5 people who died in the siege of the Capitol. Post from Greeson wishing bad things to happen to Nancy Pelosi and identifying with the Proud Boys were found as well. So here's what I'm saying, fellas. You know, these guys, these people are not going anywhere. Because see, all that's going to happen is once these white folks, you know, nature's going to take this course, and 50, 100 years from now, this is going to be predominantly probably a Latino country. You see what I'm saying? You're going to still be mad? Because they know what
a bad thing. I mean, what are they? It's just another group of white folks.
They're going to do what benefits them. What are you going to do to benefit you? I can't be mad at Ariel or other Hispanics for doing what benefits them, bro. My Slim told me this a long time ago, man, when I was a youngster, man. He's a hustler. Anybody who reads my book, he said, man, you never get mad at another man about his own stuff. I can't get mad about the Hispanic man for doing what's in his own benefit. Hey, I can't get mad at the white man for doing what's in his own benefit. You see what I'm saying? If I'm weak enough that what he does F's me over, that's my own damn fault.
I mean, it was on the sneak. This happened before I was born, bro. This was your generation, 1980s, the early 80s. It was.
Man, how old are you, bro? How old are you?
36, bro.
You 36, I'm 46. We the same age, bro.
I'm 48.
We the same age, Megatron. You a grown man. You not a baby. You a grown man. We the same age. You understand what I'm saying? We're viable and living at the same age right now. It's just as much your responsibility as mine, brother. What advice do you have for Black men who are, you know, being shamed and people harassing them and stuff about, you know, the wife that they choose, women they want to date? What's your advice to these brothers, man?
I mean, focus on your purpose. You know, like they need to keep their head down like you did, and focus on their purpose, whatever that may be. You know, I would say also try and get yourself into a situation where, you know, you're free. You know, you have a job that you can work online. So you can optimize your time doing other things or start another business. I mean, that should be your focus. You know, like, the haters are always going to be there. They're not going to disappear. All right. And you just got to keep focused on your purpose and do you. I mean, we used to have that back in the day, right? Before, you know, focus on yourself is just do you, and everything else should, you know, iron itself out.
They didn't do. We won't pick sides. What we won't do is get ourselves involved in these sort of political skirmishes that have been going on between the two factions in this country for hundreds of years. What we need to do is take this opportunity to build our own infrastructure, deal with our own internal issues, and not get baited into Republican and Democratic talking points or conservative or liberal talking points. It really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, they're just trying to figure out who's going to be in control of these resources that the dominant society has taken from the rest of the world. It has nothing to do with us. And so when I see Black folks picking sides, yeah, it's great. I don't care if you voted for Trump. I don't care if you voted for Biden. It doesn't matter to me, because at the end of the day, you're still a Black person, especially you as Black men. You as a Black man, you need to focus on what you need to do. Make yourself a better person. Figure out what it is you need to enhance your position in this world right now. That's what you need to do. You don't need to get caught up into what Trump is doing. Oh my God, I can't believe that he needs none of your business. Nothing. Because as soon as they finish with them, they're gonna go right back to you.
I'm not a lawyer, but my daddy is. Yeah. If you've been hurt in a car accident, call my daddy. No need to scream and yell like a little kid. Yeah. My daddy will fight for your rights. Yeah, fight for your rights. If you've been involved in a car accident, call my daddy, returning Dennis Sperling.
Hello, I'm attorney Dennis Sperling. If you've been injured in a car wreck, call me at 713-229-0770.
Call my daddy.
Dennis was called to participate on a panel to speak to that. And when Dennis' time came up, he said, no, I disagree with Lonnie Love. This is a very simple issue. She is too big to get the kind of men that she wants. It's that simple.
Real simple. And anybody, I mean, is anybody willing to tell the emperor that he has no clothes on at this point? Like, who's going to stand up and just say, no, it's because you weigh like 350 pounds. That's why you can't get the men that you want. That's why you can't get these top-notch men that you want. and nobody's willing to, say that, man. And that's just unfortunate. But you know what? Part of being an adult is not being able to get everything you want.
That's true. That's true.
And unfortunately, a lot of these sisters, man, they feel like they're settling for a brother that works at the local Exxon plant that makes $120,000 a year. They think they're settling for a police officer up in New York that makes $180,000 a year. They think they're settling for a brother who's a school teacher or administrator making $80,000 a year. In their mind, they all deserve a 50 Cent. They all deserve a Barack Obama. They all deserve you name it, a Future. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
man. And you also brought up Trump. So I'm going to ask the question, the elephant in the room is, why is it that the recent polls are indicating that 25% of black men are set to vote for Donald Trump? He's a racist. He doesn't like anybody. He's mean. He's foggity. He lies. He's got a bunch of side women. He's a bad, bad, bad man, according to some of the cable news outlets. Why is it that black men are voting for Donald Trump or set to vote for Donald Trump, according to the latest polls or some of the polls, to the tune of 25%? Can you please explain that phenomenon? Whereas, by contrast, black women are still on the Democratic side and voting for them in the upper 90s. Can you, by your analysis, can you explain that to the audience?
Well, I'm thinking that black men are growing more and more frustrated with these left politicians, and they came out in 7% in 2016 for Donald Trump, and the number has increased because when they look at the cities that are run by Democrats, a lot of these black men are not seeing any sort of progress that benefits them. So they look at these Democrats and they're saying, I'm not getting what I need, especially working class, everyday black men out here. They're not seeing any sort of tangibles being offered to them by the Democratic Party. So a lot of them left. And one of the things that led to a lot of them leaving in 2016 was the fact that we had all of these murders of black men, like Eric Garner, like Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin, and your Barack Obama's Department of Justice did nothing in any of these cases. So these black men were sitting there hoping that the black president would provide them with justice, but the black president decided to blow off black men.
Not like their band. That's the quagmire that many brothers in. The lovely ladies are not following the lead of black men. They're following the lead of the dominant society, a society that seeks to destroy black men and black women and the black family, which is the cornerstone of black society. And that's why we are where we are.
The black manosphere is taking steps forward. We are not only setting a precedent for what should be the relationship discussions between black folks, but now we're in a situation where, the gate is wide open and you got gatekeepers who are trying to keep this thing under wraps. Because see what happens if the political gatekeepers can no longer sway the black population to do what they want to do, then they become irrelevant. They're no longer useful. They get eliminated.
You know, they get to go home, they get a free bus ride back to the house, and party's over. And so, you know, it's incumbent upon them to make sure that Black folks still remain beholden to one party group or another. Now,
was the least of the bad. Don't forget the 91, the 87, the 81, the 79, and the 77. That 81 is the one that said one rock gets you 5 years in a federal penitentiary. And don't forget, one of the adjuncts to that was they ended federal probation and parole for adults. And what happens is that if you get a 5-year sentence, that's 60 months, and you wind up being in federal custody under their control for 56 to 58 of those 60 months. They need to do something to keep these constituencies active supporters. We get nothing. We're just in this habit of plantation mentality. That's our team, so we have to vote that way.
So are you saying, so is Judge Brown saying that some Black people or all Black people or enough Black people should begin to vote for the mean old nasty Republican Party?
Well, here's what I'm saying. Here's how it works. Every now and then, if you aren't getting anything, even if you have to hold your nose, vote for the opposition, because it can't get any worse than it is now.
Yeah.
So vote for the opposition, so the people that have been counting on you go, oh, wait a minute, we got to do something to bring them back. And
I share your opinion.
Says, wow, look what we got. We need to give them something to bring more of them over. And what you need to do is become independent.
Right.
And vote issues and candidates, not parties.
You know, Judge, I share your opinion that Joe Biden is a racist, and it's because of his history of voting. Now, a lot of people say, well, Trump's a racist. I said, well, yeah, he might be, but Joe Biden ain't no better. So I'm going to vote for the person who has my interest in heart. And not because, and I'm not just totally aligned with one party or another. I think, is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I will scream and I will holler. Then I'll scream and holler some more, saying absolutely nothing.
You have a choice in legal representation. And in making that choice, do you want an attorney with a made-for-TV nickname to represent you in your serious car wreck claim?
I will growl, kick, and scream.
My name is Dennis Sperling. If you've been involved in a motor vehicle accident, contact me toll-free at 866-529-2444. The choice is yours.
Hey, what's up, everybody? If you appreciate the format and you appreciate what we're doing here, then make sure you contribute to the Cash App, make sure you contribute to the PayPal, make sure you donate to the Super Chat. It's only you and your contributions that keep this thing going. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Dennis Sperling. I'm not a lawyer, but my daddy is. Yeah. If you've been hurt in a car accident, call my daddy. No need to scream and yell like a little kid. Yeah, no yelling. My daddy will fight for your rights. Yeah, fight for your rights. If you've been involved in a car accident, call my daddy, Attorney Dennis Sperling.
Hello, I'm Attorney Dennis Sperling. If you've been injured in a car wreck, call me at 713-229-0770.
Call my daddy, daddy.
Hey, what's up, everybody? If you appreciate the format and you appreciate what we're doing here, then make sure you contribute to the Cash App, make sure you contribute to the PayPal, make sure you donate to the Super Chat. It's only you and your contributions to keep this thing going. Thanks.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Dennis Sperling, and I'm back with this series. We are back talking about Black American military men, war heroes, and this is part 4. Look, guys, I don't expect a lot of people to be here. The reason I don't, because, first of all, this is exclusively the territory of Black American men. There's nobody else that can claim this. This is us. This segment, these broadcasts are solely beneficial to the self-esteem, pride, and historical military efforts of Black men. So I don't expect anybody else to come in. So you guys, if you want this to be a big deal, you're going to have to go ahead. You're going to have to hit the number 1 button. You're going to have to share this. You're going to have to hit the thumbs up button. And you're going to have to contribute to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. It's been a lot of work putting these programs together. This is not social issues. These are historical facts. It's very important that we get that we get the facts right. I've gone over these things several times. I want to make sure I do these men the service that they deserve, and so because of that, I'm spending time doing this. So you guys show your appreciation by hitting the number 1 button. I want you to first of all hit the number 1 button for these Black American military men, these Black American war heroes, these Black American veterans of the Vietnam War. I think this, fellas, is probably a long time coming. I've scoured the internet. I've yet to see any programming set aside that actually talks about Black American military men, specifically war by war. Every now and then they'll give you some guy that did something back in the Civil War and freed his family, and they'll talk about an occasional Buffalo Soldier. You're more likely to read about a Black samurai from 2,000 years ago, or 400 or 500 years ago, than you will our Black American soldiers that fought in wars, both foreign and domestic, here in the United States. You look at the internet. Find me Black American military men. Find me Black American war heroes. Find it. It's just not there. And if you do see them, they're so mired down in other stuff. You barely have pictures of the guys. You don't know who you're looking at. You don't know who you're dealing with. And so, this is something that you can revisit every year. And let me tell you something. I want you guys to do this for me. All right. I want you to make sure you download each one of these Black American military men, veteran war heroes, at least do the Vietnam War heroes. I want to make sure you do that. I want to make sure you do that. And here's another thing. I have no problem with you guys uploading them to your own YouTube pages. I want to spread this information. I want our brothers around the country and around the world to know the contribution that Black American men have contributed to the safety and security of the United States. We are often made to feel like we need to go back to Africa. I can guarantee you the Africans don't want us. They do not want us. This is pretty much, you can come visit, you can spend your money, maybe 1 or 2 you can come, but all 45 million of us, they don't want all of us. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is, not only do we have a right to this home, the United States, but we fought for it. Now, whether you want to go visit and go other places and live other places, that's fine. But the truth is, you fought and bled for the safety and security of this home. How many other minority groups can point out all the Medal of Honor winners that they have? Look at the ones I've talked. So far, we've talked about 12 Black men Medal of Honor winners from one war. From one war. To me, it looked like per capita, Black American men got more Medal of Honor honors than any other minority group in this country, and probably more than white men per capita. If you count the numbers that we have here in the United States, the amount of, we've overrepresented in the military. But this is not ever a story that's told. This is what we should be doing on Veterans Day. This is what we should be talking about on Veterans Day, but we don't. What do? We have a barbecue, drink some beer, You know, some of you pop some firecrackers, watch a football game, basketball game, who knows? But this is the history that we need to talk about. This is what our sons need to see. They need to understand our warrior history, our warrior past. And so that's why we're doing this. It kind of all started off, it kind of happened. You guys remember I was just doing general war history. We talked about Revolutionary War, and we kind of got off on that because I was talking about slavery, and then we start talking about the Revolutionary War, and then from there we end up talking about the War of 1812, and I'm like, all right, well, we'll just keep going. Civil War, and then somebody got real happy when I started talking about Colonel Ty, who actually fought on behalf of the British in the Revolutionary War, and y'all like, yeah, do more of that, you know. And so, man, you know, here we are. You know, here's some names that we remember, right? Everybody knows 50 Cal Hal. He needs a movie, right? Big shout out to 50 Cal Hal. Those of you guys who've been with me in this series, you know, 50 Cal Hal was the man. Shot a whole bunch of people with 5 different guns in one battle and beat somebody to death with his rifle butt from Detroit. A big shout out to D-Town, to Motown. But yeah, 50 Cal Hal, man, we really need to, I think that needs to be our pet project. We need to figure out who his family is and see if we can get some movie rights to his movie, because 50 Cal Hal was the one. You know, if anybody, you want to go to war, and he got drafted into the, and I keep bringing him up. I know this is not his day, but 50 Cal Hal was the man, man. Big shout out to, we call him 50 Cal Hal. But either way, man, y'all make sure you contribute to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. I want to go ahead and start this thing off, but before I do, thank you, Rock One. I appreciate the Super Chat, man. It's guys like you and Broken Blade that allow me to, you know, to say, yeah, they really interested in it. We don't get the participation. We got 13 people in here, man. You know, so we can't get the likes up. Y'all bringing me down for the algorithm. You know, I'm trying to get more people in here, but I can't get more people in here because I'm doing shows like this. In order to get your numbers up to 35, 40,000, 50,000 people, you got to generate a whole lot of traffic flow. You see what I mean? But because I focus on a niche market, and that is the upliftment and betterment of Black men, I don't really get that type of traffic. That's why I'm kind of stuck at 14,000 people, 14,700, whereas you got other people who, if they're willing to, you know, talk about the latest issues and stuff like that, they'll come in and within a year, they get 25, 30. But this work that I'm doing is important, I believe. I believe it's important. I believe that we as Black men need better quality men that we can look up to. And I'm not knocking the men that we traditionally look up. We got the Thurgood Marshalls and the Martin Luther Kings, and who else? We got the Malcolm X's and the doctors, Dr. George Washington Carver. But what about 50 Cal Hal? Why can't we put him up on the pedestal? Why can't we remember him? You see what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I'm at, man. But let's go ahead and get started. I want to first acknowledge the families of these soldiers that we're going to talk about, these soldiers and Marines. 3 of them were killed in action. So, you know, we want to be very careful and make sure we get the stories down correctly. I want to make sure that we get this done. You know what I mean? And we do it in a very honorable way, because, again, these are our Black American brothers. Nobody can ever take them away from us. See, like they can't take them away. You see, we got enough heroes now with the brothers that I brought up, man. They can't steal them away from us, man. And so, you know, the thing is, man, I just want you guys to recognize that these guys belong to us. You know, they belong to us. They're ours. They're yours. And I know that by speaking their name and bringing them back to life, we can invoke their spirit. You see what I'm saying? We need some of that warrior spirit. I would say that we definitely need some warrior spirit with the onset of all the simping and the foolishness and whatnot. We definitely need the warrior spirit. So just think about that, fellas, man. I just want y'all to think about that, why this work is important. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to, Let me see, who else did I miss? We got Broken Blade, Rock One. Thank you again, Broken Blade. Who else? We got new members in here. Big shout out to members. You guys make sure you become a member to the channel. We want to make sure that happens. I want to make sure you guys join up. But in the meantime, let's make sure you guys download it. Download all this. Who knows when the internet is gonna come along and YouTube is gonna come on and say, all right, that's enough for you, Uncle D. You done. So you guys make sure y'all download this. But this is a story about Ruppert Leon Sargent. Okay, here's a picture of the brother right there. I'm gonna point him out. This is him when he was young. This is Ruppert. Let me see if I can get a better picture of it. Ruppert Sargent. This is him right here. I'm gonna blow his picture up a little bit. This is the brother right here, Ruppert Sargent. Right, that's him, and he is a Medal of Honor winner. This is the brother right here, and let's read a little bit about his story. And so Ruppert Leon Sargent, he was born January 2nd, 1938, and he died March 15th, 1967. So the brother was about had just turned 29. He was a United States Army officer, so he wasn't a non-commissioned officer. He was an officer in the United States Army. He was a recipient of America's highest military decoration, the Medal of Honor, for his actions in the Vietnam War. Right? Let's see what he's a sergeant. He was a graduate of Virginia State University, and I think Virginia State. Correct me if I'm wrong, fellas, but I believe Virginia State is a historically Black university, from what I recall. And so he's another HBCU grad. We'll read a little bit about him real quick. I think also, let me double check real quick. I want to make sure we get that. Virginia State is an HBCU. So he's an HBCU grad, historically Black university. And that's another thing. We got to make sure we acknowledge all the great work that these historically Black universities do, because we wouldn't have the officers, we wouldn't have the Tuskegee Airmen, we wouldn't have half the doctors, we wouldn't have all these great lawyers like Thurgood Marshall, who literally changed the course of American history with his litigation skills and all this. We wouldn't have that, if it wasn't for our HBCUs, man. So whether you attended an HBCU or not, you standing on somebody's shoulders that went to an HBCU. But anyway, let's get it going. So Sergeant, his name right, Sargent. First Lieutenant Sargent joined the Army from Richmond, Virginia in the late 50s, served several years as an enlisted soldier, and then went through officer cadet candidate school at Fort Benning. And I know you military guys probably love to hear that, right? Because I've heard stories, right? So he enlisted into the military, right? So let's listen to the type of man he is. Lieutenant Sargent enlisted in the military. He did some time as an infantryman, and then he went to officer candidate school. Isn't that a much better officer to have, as opposed to? And I'm not knocking you guys, but I could imagine what it would be like. You got this kid fresh out of college, and he's a lieutenant, and he's telling you hardened veterans of many wars and the military process what to do, and he just got there, and he outranks you, so you kind of got to listen to him. But you're a master sergeant or something like that, and you got to listen to this lieutenant who just graduated from college, and they gave him his bars for the fact that what? Because he's a lieutenant. Whereas you got Lieutenant Sargent here who enlisted in the 50s, right? Did time there, then went through officer candidate school at Fort Benning. So he started off, on the low run, and I can respect that. So here's the thing: by March 15, 1967, he was serving as a first lieutenant in Company B, 4th Battalion, 9th Infantry Regiment, 25th Infantry Division. On that day, while in Hai Ninh Province in the Republic of Vietnam, Lieutenant Sargent threw himself on 2 enemy hand grenades. Wow. Sacrificing himself, but saving the lives of 2 men nearby. Lieutenant Sargent is the first Black officer in history to be awarded the Medal of Honor. Wow. In 1997, upgrades of DSCs awarded to
Black heroes of World War II resulted in awards to 3 additional Black officers from that war. Now, the crazy thing is, man, I'm going to show you the picture of the guy, one of the guys he saved, because I just realized what this was. So let me try to slide back a little bit. So this gentleman right here is this white guy. I guess this is a white guy, but this is one of the guys that Lieutenant Sargent saved right there. And so he went to his Medal of Honor bust and stood next to him and took the picture, man. You know, this guy wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Lieutenant Sargent. And that's the thing, man. And the fact of the matter is, there was so many Black men getting drafted into the war that they were drafting Black men for nothing. But yeah, he jumped on 2 hand grenades, so he knew he was done. But think about that. This is a first lieutenant, almost 30 years old, and you jumped on there to save these 2 guys, man. I don't think there's anything more honorable than saving your brothers. When they're, you got your battle buddy. I don't think, and I mean, I'm just speaking as an outsider, and those men and their children and their children's children and all through their line will be forever thankful for what Lieutenant Sargent did. And that's him right there. That's him right there. I want to read a little bit more about his history so we can properly acknowledge him and who he was. Ruppert Sargent, age 29 at his death, was buried in Hampton National Cemetery in Hampton, Virginia. The Ruppert L. Sargent Building in Hampton, Virginia houses the Hampton City Schools, Commission of the Revenue, Treasurer, Economic Development, Department of Office of the Sasser of Real Estate. A statue of Sargent rests in the building's lobby. Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 3219 renamed the post in honor of Medal of Honor recipient First Lieutenant Ruppert Leon Sargent on April 2019. They renamed the post to honor his gallantry and heroism. Ruppert Leon Sargent was born in Phoebus, a small community in Hampton, Virginia, and is a local hero and inspiration for all Hampton's veterans. Let's read a little bit about what he did. For conspicuous gallantry, intrepidity, and action at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty, while leading a platoon of Company B, First Lieutenant Sargent was investigating a reported Viet Cong meeting house and weapons cache. A tunnel entrance, which First Lieutenant Sargent observed, was booby-trapped. He tried to destroy the booby trap and blow the cover from the tunnel using hand grenades, but his attempt was not successful. He and his demolition man moved in to destroy the booby trap and cover, which flushed a Viet Cong soldier from the tunnel. He was immediately killed by the nearby platoon sergeant. So they shot the guy that was coming out of the hole, right? First Lieutenant Sargent, the platoon sergeant, and the forward observer moved toward the tunnel entrance. As they approached, right? So you in the middle of a jungle, right? We remember what this looked like, right? You guys remember what that foliage looked like, right? So some guy just popped out of there. They popped him, right? And so as they went, and mind you, this is the leader. He's leading from the front. He's leading this platoon. So he didn't put somebody else up there to do it. He did it himself. They're going to clean out this hole, right? So what happens? So first sergeant, the platoon sergeant, and the forward observer moved toward the tunnel entrance. As they approached, another Viet Cong emerged and threw 2 hand grenades that landed in the midst of the group. First Lieutenant Sargent fired 3 shots at the enemy, then turned and unhesitatingly threw himself over the 2 grenades. He was mortally wounded, and his 2 companions were lightly wounded when the grenades exploded. But his courageousness and selfless act of exceptional heroism, he saved the lives of the platoon sergeant and forward observer and prevented the injury or death of several other comrades. First Lieutenant Sargent's actions were in keeping with the highest traditions of the military service and reflect great credit upon himself and the U.S. Army. So imagine that, right? That's right. The term is tunnel rats, right? So imagine that. You go in there, you got this guy come out, you popped him, right? Next thing you know, somebody else comes out, he throws 2 grenades, you shoot at him, bam, 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 and automatically you turn around
and you jump on 2 grenades that were thrown in the middle of the team that he was with right there. That could have killed so many more people. 2 people were injured slightly, but remember, look at all the people he saved. I mean, think about that. Leadership, people think that being a leader means you're bossing everybody around, but a true leader cares about the people that he's leading. And so I can see him developing a sort of love, like a big brotherly love for these guys. These are my boys. They came out here, they're in this war. I'm going to take care of these boys. These are mine. These belong to me. And so he was willing to sacrifice his life for what was his. And, you know, you Christians out there, man, I don't really think you understand who Jesus Christ was. When we talk about Jesus sacrificed himself, what they're saying is he sacrificed himself for our shortcomings, for our sins, for those who loved him and for those who didn't, for those who were worthy and for those who were unworthy. And so the ultimate sacrifice that a man can make is for those that he loves, even if they're unworthy, even if they're unloved. Those guys right there, you know, they can never repay him and for his sacrifice. That's the ultimate gift you can give, is your life for your loved ones, your life for your brothers. You see, those men, and I just, the idea that he would first try to eliminate the immediate threat and then immediately jump on these grenades like that. I mean, think about that. Imagine they had 2 grenades. Imagine what kind of damage that would have done. That could have killed several men if he hadn't jumped on there and covered up that explosion. Imagine that. Look what he did. Imagine that. Just be there with him right now. But that's First Lieutenant Ruppert Leon Sargent. He represented Virginia. I think that's the second guy we got from Virginia. This is him when he was a young man right there. You know, young man from Virginia. That's him, right? And that's him after he got a little older. You know, and that's his bus right there up in Virginia. And this apparently is the building, I believe. Or that might not be the building, but this is him, first African American Medal of Honor winner. That's his funeral. Apparently, this is his family right here, I believe, and that's where he's buried. So, you know, we just want to acknowledge that. Thank you so much. And you guys appreciate that. Hit the number 1 button, man. Let's go on to Clarence Sasser. He was Specialist 5, Clarence Eugene Sasser. This is the brother right here, man. And of course, Chenango, Texas. I got to know what this is, man. Okay. In an unincorporated community in Brazoria County in Texas. So this is actually kind of near me. This is about 45 minutes away from where I am, more or less, as the crow flies. So he's a guy, we got a Texas boy, first Texas boy we got. Man, I can't believe they did me like that. So he lives down here in this area. So yeah, he's down in that sort of kind of down towards Galveston a little bit. Those of you guys who are familiar with Texas, this is Brazoria County. And so he's down there in Texas somewhere. I'm sorry, he's down there. It's sort of that Galveston area. Yeah, this is an interesting, like I just clicked on this. Monroe Edwards and Christopher Dart also used the plantation for slave smuggling to Texas from Cuba. Boy, I tell you, the more history you read, the more it's just stuff that just tickles you. But anyway, let me get back to the subject, man. So yeah, first we finally got us somebody from Texas. Big shout out to Texas, right? All my Texas people. You know, I always I came here as a young boy. I think I was probably 1 or 2 years old. So I wasn't born here, but I got here as soon as I could, right? And then they shuttled me back to California a couple of times. But when I was old enough to make my own decision, I made my way on down here to the great state of Texas. But either way, let's go ahead and talk about this brother. We want to make sure we acknowledge Specialist 5. What is a Specialist 5? Can somebody tell me what a Specialist 5 is? I've seen this before. I've seen a couple of specialists. Where you military guys at? What does a Specialist 5 do, right? What is a Specialist 5? I mean, how does this even, where do they come up with these names, right? Specialist 5. I mean, come on, man. So what is it? Shout out to Aaron H. Thank you so much for the contribution. But it's a military rank in some countries' armed forces. In United States forces, it's one of
of the 4 junior enlisted ranks in the U.S. Army, above private PVT and private PVT and private. It's equivalent to a pay grade. It's equivalent in pay grade to a corporal. It consists of 4 junior enlist ranks prior to. So it's basically he's under a sergeant, but he's not. He's under a sergeant, but he's not a private. So I get it. So thanks. So, but I'm just saying, they don't talk about that. I don't hear that. You know, we need some more understanding of military rankings. So I think that's important. They should teach that in school. But either way, so he's born in Chenango, Texas. Briefly attended University of Houston as a chemistry major, but was forced to drop out due to lack of funds. So he didn't have money. His brother didn't have money. I can understand that, man. So and see, here's the thing: you had a college deferment if you stayed in college, okay? But if you couldn't afford college, then you might get drafted. And so a lot of the brothers wanted to, stay in college. College was a way in which you can, not get drafted. So, but what happened? When he ran out of funds, same thing y'all think happened. He was drafted into the United States Army after giving up his college deferment and served as a combat medic during the Vietnam War. Sasser's Vietnam War tour lasted 51 days. He left 51 days. Woo! He received the Medal of Honor from President Nixon in 1969 for his actions on January 10th, 1968 in Dinh Tong Province, South Vietnam. A member of the headquarters company, 3rd Battalion, 60th Infantry Regiment, 9th Infantry Division. He was a private first class attached to the 3rd Battalion's Company A when he earned the medal and was later promoted to Specialist 5. When his military commitment was finished, Sasser enrolled in Texas A&M University as a chemistry student. He worked at an oil refinery for more than 5 years before being employed by the United States Veterans Affairs. A statue depicting Sasser in the war created 2010 and will be placed on the Brazoria County Courthouse. Man, that's awesome. But I want you guys to, so let's hear the story, right? My man said they gave that rank mostly to colored soldiers to slow them up from making sergeant. Wow, that's interesting, RA. I'm glad. I appreciate that bit of history. See, I don't know the internal workings of the military. So you guys, if there's some stuff you guys know, you military guys would know, I would know. I mean, who would know other than you guys? Like, I just found out what a DD-214 was. I'm like, right. So if they, so next, when I meet these people who just get out the military, yes, I was an honorable discharge. So you got your DD-214, right? Well, let me see the paperwork. I know they're faking me out. But anyway, so let's go ahead and get this, man. This is the brother right here in 2010 for conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity in action at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty. Specialist 5, Class Sasser, distinguished himself while assigned to headquarters and headquarters company 3rd Battalion. He was serving as a medical aid man with a company A 3rd Battalion on a reconnaissance in force operation. His company was making an air assault when suddenly it was taken under heavy small arms rifle fire, machine gun, and rocket fire from a well-fortified enemy positions on 3 sides of the landing zone. During the first few minutes, over 30 casualties were sustained. Can you imagine that? You get out the plane and you got 30 people dead. Imagine how many were shot. 30 people shot. Imagine that. During the first few minutes, over 30 casualties were sustained without hesitation. Specialist 5, Class Sasser, ran across an open rice paddy through a hail of fire to assist the wounded. After helping one man to safety, was painfully wounded in his left shoulder by fragments of an exploding rocket. Refusing medical attention, he ran through a barrage of rocket and automatic weapons fire to aid casualties of the initial attack, and after giving them urgently needed treatment, continued to search for other wounded. Despite 2 additional wounds, immobilizing his legs,
he dragged himself through the mud to another soldier 100 meters away. So this is what I want you to understand. Brother he got shot in the shoulder going to help somebody. And then as he was running away, I believe he was dragging this other guy away, carrying him and pulling him. He got shot in both legs. Now he can't walk. So instead of laying up and quit, I'm done, I'm out, he crawls 100 meters in a rice paddy, all right? Although in agonizing pain and faint from loss of blood, losing blood himself, Specialist 5 class Sasser reached the man, treated him, and proceeded to encourage another group of soldiers to crawl 200 meters to relative safety. There he attended their wounds for 5 hours. Mind you, he's bleeding out of his shoulder. He's bleeding out of both legs. He attended to them for 5 hours until they were evacuated. Specialist 5 class Sasser's extraordinary heroism, in keeping with the highest traditions of the military service, reflects great credit upon himself as a unit. Can you imagine that? I mean, think about that, man. He got shot 3 times, and sat out there for 5 hours. The only one there to treat him was himself. You see what I'm saying? This is what this brother had to deal with. I mean, I just find it amazing, some of these things that these black heroes did. And like all of us, all of us should just sit back and be in awe. Now, I want you guys to take a little look at this video. I want you to take a look at it, and let's just hear him out. We want to hear his story, because that's an amazing feat I mean, how do you explain that? I mean, how do you classify that? Like, where do you put shot twice, 3 times? You got a rocket, how do you deal with that? So let's go ahead. Make sure you guys contribute to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. Also, hit the #1 button, man. We want to show our appreciation by hitting the #1 button. I want you guys to make sure you do that. So I'm going to go ahead and try to pull this up real quick so you guys can see what he's saying here. And remember, this is Specialist 5, Clarence Eugene Sasser. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up right now. And let's get this going. Bam, hit the #1 button, though, fellas. All right, so here we go.
I left high school and moved into the city of Houston and started attending the University of Houston. I was a chemistry major and did pretty well, but again, no money. The money what wasn't there. And then started to work. Of course, I had a part-time job, but the mistake I made was in the age of student deferments of dropping to half-time, to work a little bit more. And from that point, I was drafted.
Clarence Sasser was drafted into the Army in 1967 at the age of 19. After a series of tests, he was sent for training as a medical aid man.
We like to call ourselves combat medics. Although a lot of medics weren't sent into combat, I always knew I would. It's one of those things you just know.
On the morning of January 10th, 1968, Clarence Sasser would experience his first heavy combat. The battalion commander sent his company on a reconnaissance mission toward the Mekong Delta to investigate reports of enemy activity.
I was on probably the 3rd, 4th helicopter. We go in and the helicopter started taking fire, rockets. A thoroughly bad situation. One of the helicopters got hit, plumped down in the water. We got off the helicopter. I got grazed getting off the helicopter in the leg. Fire all around us. With the helicopter down, it wasn't any choice. We had to go in. And so we were dumped in the rice paddy. The mortars were coming in, snipers were around.
I just want to put something in context. Specialist 5 Sasser never intended to go to the military. Remember, he didn't have enough money to go to school full-time, so he was working part-time and going to school part-time. And because of that, he got drafted. And he's saying something that many of us know. He said most medics don't necessarily go in to the field, but I knew I was going. And he might not be saying it, but this brother knew he was going because he was a black man. They tested him. He was a chemistry major. They were like, okay, we got something for you. We're going to make you a medic. You want to be a chemistry major? You a physics major? Yeah, we're going to make you a medic. You see what I'm saying? So I think I'm fair in saying the military uses what you naturally bring to them for their own betterment. They want to utilize you as a resource. So keep that in mind. So you got a man out here who didn't ask to be here, who didn't want to be here. But when it came time to step up and do what you have to do, he did it. And he did it in a magnificent way. You heard what he said. He got shot getting off the helicopter. The helicopter was down. He got grazed getting off the helicopter. So I want you guys to read between the lines. Listen to what the brother's saying. And you guys make sure y'all hit the number 1 button.
Guys were yelling, "Stop, stop." And of course, at this point, there's no semblance of platoon-like unity.
During the first 30 minutes, over 30 casualties were sustained. Without hesitation, Sasser ran across an open rice paddy through a hail of fire to assist the wounded. After helping one man to safety, he was painfully struck by incoming fire.
I was almost hit with a mortar round that almost just totally sprayed my back. Shell fragments are something I'll never forget how they feel. Man, you can hear them all day, boy. They come in, boom, and then you hear it, where they just shooting into the water, and when they hit the water, you hear it just sizzle, man. I had learned early on that the best way to get around that day was just simply grabbing the rice sprouts and sliding yourself along. You could move better like that than to try to, of course, stand up. If you stood up, you were dead. Especially they see your bag. They know you're a medic. You know, you kill a medic, a lot of people probably would die. It was the rationale.
Despite 2 additional wounds from machine gun fire that immobilized his legs, Sasser refused medical attention and continued to search for the wounded, administering critically needed support.
My job was to care for them.
Something I want to explain to you guys about the male psyche. Men are task driven, okay? So what does that mean? That means when you and your girl about to go out on a date, you ready to get there. You got a time limit. How much you're going to drive. You know where you're going to get your gas, how much money you're going to need when you get there. You're task driven. You're ready to get there. Women, on the other hand, you know what? They like, well, no, let's get some lunch and let's pack some sandwiches and just in case. And I'm going to bring this blanket. And you like, it's 99 degrees outside and we'll bring extra water. It's like, we don't need water. It's not that far. They got water there. You're task oriented. And so when a man is ready to get this task done, he's getting this task done. This is the type of motivation you hear from him. I'm shot in the arm. My legs are immobile, but my task is to get from here 100 yards across that rice paddy to 10 to those wounded men over there. This is a man on a mission, right? He's got a one-man mission to save as many American soldiers as he can who've been hit by enemy fire in this ambush.
Yes, Broken Blade, you did hear right. He said being a medic made him a priority target. As soon as they saw that backpack, they were shooting for him because they know if they shot him, then a lot of other soldiers would die. And so this is the pressure that we think we under pressure, right? We think we got a lot of pressure. You got to get to work on time. You've been late 3 times this month. You got one more time and they're going to get fired. Imagine that. You got to crawl through these rice paddies and not get shot. And then when you get over there, you got to tend to somebody who's injured, who might die in your hands. And then you got to try and get back and not get shot. And everybody knows that you are one of the primary targets. You, the guy with the highest rank, the radio operator, and the dude with the big gun in the platoon. You guys are the ones that everybody wants to shoot. You're the one they're gunning for. Imagine the pressure that this man was going through, and he still did his job. But let's go ahead and continue. Hit the number 1 button, fellas, and make sure you contribute to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal.
Guys, they could get them to carry on. And in fact, what I remember telling one guy was, "Here, man, take your weapon. Take your weapon." After I finished putting the bandage on, take your weapon. Let's try to get out of here. And we went in probably 10:15 that morning. We spent the whole day in the rice paddy. Terrible people getting killed. We spent the night being looked over by the Phantom Air Force, Phantom pilots who were dropping napalm in the tree line. Essentially kept them off of us all night, or we all would have died. We laid there that night. All you could hear was guys moaning, calling for their mama. Help me. There's nothing I can do. They got us out, I guess about 4 o'clock that morning. They tested and came into the area and with the chopper. Well, it was a relief. It was a relief. We were out of there and I was still alive. I was hurt, but I was in mortal danger. I was hurt. I knew I would heal, and I would heal fairly quickly. After I had recovered and the understanding doctor had gotten me reassigned, I don't know what he did or how he pulled strings, but they did need medics there. I was called into his office. He was, of course, the officer in charge of the dispensary, and told me that the Department of Defense had decided to award me a Medal of Honor. It was really an experience from my background, of course, poor farm family, and every day my mother and sisters were flown up to DC. And of course, this was I guess the best thing that ever happened to them.
That's the president right there shaking Clarence Eugene Sasser's hands. And as you heard what he said, he come from a poor farm family in Texas, and that was the biggest thing they've ever happened to them. Before his heroism, and he just listen how nonchalant he's talking about how brave he was, even to the point where he said, "Here, man, take your gun, let's get out of here. Take your gun, let's get out." Motivating these guys. They had to spend 5 hours with people around them moaning and hollering, bombs bursting. You got the Air Force dropping napalm in the tree line to keep the Viet Cong and the enemies back. Can you imagine that? I mean, can you imagine the sitting somewhere for 5 hours, just bombs bursting around you, and the only thing keeping the enemy from walking up and killing you are these flying aircraft overhead, and you got men around you dying, and there's nothing you can do. But you saw the tear in his eye. You saw the tears in his eyes. He wanted to perform his. Some of you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. It's something you got to do so bad it's hard to tear you off of it. It's like back when I used to play football. I injured myself in the middle of a game, and the coach wouldn't let me go back in because my knee was messed up. And so it just puts you in the wrong place. I can only imagine how he feels. You got men around you and you the medic. And so, just let's look at this hero right here, man. And he did all he could. But let's continue to listen.
We enjoyed it, tremendously enjoyed it. It's confirmation to me that I did my job. And that's how I had to deal with it, because it was my job. I don't think what I did was above and beyond. I never have. And I don't make a point of it, but being one of the only two black guys alive now, I think it means a lot to the country that I am who I am.
Oops, you guys. Hey, guys, can you hear me now? I'm sorry about that. I apologize. I just wanted to acknowledge Mr. Sasser and thank his family. And if he's watching this video, if you ever Google him, here you are. But this is a picture here, and I'm gonna put this picture up here. I want you guys to see the brother. Right, this is him right here. His name is oops. Let me get that. His name is Clifford Chester Sims. That's who this brother is right here. Clifford Chester Sims. He's a Medal of Honor winner, right? He's born June 18th, 1942, and died February 12th, 1968. He was a United States Army soldier and recipient of America's highest military decoration, the Medal of Honor, for his actions in Vietnam. Sims was born Clifford Pittman, but was orphaned at an early age. After briefly living in an abandoned school bus and with relatives, he was adopted by James and Irene Sims at age 13. He met his wife, Mary, at George Washington High School and joined an army from Jacksonville, Florida, shortly after graduation. He moved to Fort Bragg and married Mary on December 25th on Christmas Day, 1961. How about that, y'all? In August 1967, Sims moved to Fort Campbell, Kentucky to join Company D, 2nd Battalion Airborne. So he's jumping out of planes. 51st Parachute Infantry Regiment, 101st Airborne Division. By February 21st, 1968, he was serving as Staff Sergeant. On that day, during an engagement with enemy forces in Hue in the Republic of Vietnam, Sims threw himself on a triggered booby trap device. He was killed in the ensuing explosion, but successful in protecting the members of his squad. So here we got another leader, taking the charge for the group, man. I mean, come on, fellas. Like, when you see a bomb about to explode or something like that, your first instinct is to turn the other way and run. Hell with everybody else. So imagine the courage that these men had, man. I mean, just put yourself in that mind, man. Before the squad reached their destination, they encountered a bunker. SSG Sims took it upon himself to see if it was empty. As he moved forward to the booby trap, the trap went off and everybody froze, but SSJ Sims shouted a warning, then dove in on it, fatally wounding himself. However, he had covered the blast with his own body and thus saved the lives of those in the area. Sims also saved his squad by moving them quickly out of the way of the house filled with ammunition, which was burning. Just as he got his men away from the house, it blew up. Then, on moving toward a bunker, a booby trap was set off, and Sergeant Sims yelled for everybody to get back. But before they could
he threw himself on the device, taking an entire blast to save his squad from a complete disaster. In so doing, he gave his own life. Each and every man on the second squad owes his very life to this man, Staff Sergeant Clifford. So apparently, this brother was, you know, they had just, so they basically, it's the area is just surrounded by booby traps, you know, and you know, he got him out of one jam, pushed him back, and then they ran across it before it blew up, and then they ran across another one, and he couldn't push them back and run. He pushed them back and jumped on top of it. This is amazing. Sergeant Sims distinguished himself while serving as a squad leader with Company D. Company D was assaulting a heavily fortified enemy position concealed within dense wooded area when it encountered strong enemy defense fire. Once within the wood line, Sergeant Sims led his staff in a furious attack against an enemy force which had pinned down the first platoon and threatened to overrun it. His skillful leadership provided the platoon with freedom of movement and enabled it to regain the initiative. Staff Sergeant Sims was then ordered to move his squad to a position where he could provide cover fire for the company command group and to link up with 3rd Platoon, which was under heavy enemy pressure. After moving no more than 30 meters, Staff Sergeant Sims noticed that a brick structure in which ammunition was stocked was on fire. Realizing the danger, Staff Sergeant Sims took immediate action to move his squad from this position. Though in the process of leaving the area, 2 members of his squad were injured by a subsequent explosion of ammunition. Staff Sergeant Sims' prompt actions undoubtedly prevented more serious casualties from occurring. So basically, he saw a building on fire and he said, go, go, go. He got him out the way. But before everybody can get out the way, it blew up. But if he hadn't got them all out the way, they all would have died. 2 of them got hit, but not all. And that was one encounter. Okay, that was the first thing he did, right? The next thing was, while continuing through the dense woods, and you guys remember what I told you what this looked like, right? This Vietnam era, this stuff, these guys, man, they were down in the jungle, man. They were deep down in the jungle. And I'm gonna, you know, just to remind you what this looked like. I want you guys to see it. Just for those of you guys who might have missed the other day. I want you to see what this jungle looked like in Vietnam. I mean, this is what they were walking through. Shout out to Jay Canella. Thank you so much. This is what these guys were walking through, man. This right here. They were, you know, this is what they were looking at, right? That's what these military guys, this is what the Vietnam, here's another one. This is what they were dealing with. And sometimes it was thicker than that. And check this out. This is, you know, this is some of the people, you don't know who's an adversary and who's not. But this is what they were dropped off in the middle of that stuff, man. That's what these brothers had to deal with. But anyway, I want to get back to reading it. So here's what else happened, right? So while continuing through the dense woods amidst heavy enemy fire, Sergeant Sims and his squad were approaching a bunker. Okay, we got that out the way. When they heard an unmistakable noise of a concealed booby trap being triggered immediately to their front. Staff Sergeant Sims warned his comrades of the danger and unhesitatingly hurled himself upon the device as it exploded, taking the full impact of the blast. In so protecting his fellow soldiers, he willingly sacrificed his life. Staff Sergeant Sims' extraordinary heroism at the cost of his life is keeping with the highest traditions of the military service and reflects a great credit upon himself in the U.S. Army. So this is what he did. How do you do this, brother? How do you know that you're gonna die, right? You know you're gonna die, but you do it out of honor and duty and dedication to the man next to you, right? This is a beautiful, beautiful, wonderful sacrifice that this man
has made. Now, I want you to read a little bit more. I got a little bit more about his story. I wanted to kind of talk a little bit more about it because it talks about 53 years ago, this Sunday, a man who grew up homeless, eating spare milk and donuts from strangers, gave his life so his fellow soldiers could survive one of the most vicious battles of the Vietnam War. Army Sergeant Clifford Chester Sims of the 101st Airborne Division was leading his squad away from a burning ammunition dump just outside the city of Hue in February 21st, 1968, when he heard the distinct sound of a booby trap going off. He yelled for his soldiers to get back, and then he flung himself on the device, taking the full impact of the blast. Sims saved the lives of at least 3 of his squad and two of the company headquarters by absorbing the shock of the blast himself, wrote First Lieutenant Cleo Hogan, Sims' commander. In an eyewitness statement supporting his Medal of Honor bid, Staff Sergeant Sims made the greatest sacrifice a soldier can make, and no mark of tribute can be too great. Look at this brother, man. Grew up homeless, man. On top of that, Hogan credited Sims with saving his company's first platoon and the company headquarters for his quick thinking in the middle of a heated firefight in the woods earlier that day. It was a long way from the streets of Port St. Joe, a city on the Florida Panhandle where Sims grew up homeless for much of his early life. Born June 18, 1942, Clifford Pittman was, as he was known at the time, was orphaned at an early age and sent to stay with his stepfather's relatives. According to 2015 profile of the soldier by the Tennessean, but Pittman was an extra mouth to feed in a household that could not provide for him. So he left one night and they stayed in an abandoned bus nearby. This is the thing you got to understand, brothers. They oftentimes, man, they got rid of kids. They would send kids away. You know, you might have a mom and daddy, but they send you away to go live somewhere else, you know, and so you didn't actually grow up with your people, you know, and this young brother, I guess he felt bad. And so what? He decided to go live in a school bus and he ate milk and donuts. You know, this is what he did. This is what this black man who was given nothing sacrificed everything for others. This is what our brothers had to go through to fight a fight, you know, to fight fight for the United States Army. So you don't ever let these people in the United States, any of these folks, I don't care where they come from, you never let them tell you black men don't belong here. Black men, we own this country just as much as we have right to this country just as much as anybody else. Why do I say that? Because the world belongs to whoever is strong enough to take it and hold on to it. And we've been the ones that helped take it and the ones that have helped hold on to it. Black American men. See, the Africans and the Caribbeans, they didn't start coming to the United States till the 1980s. So they've contributed very little. Now, of course, you got a couple of Jamaican brothers here and there. A few Dominican guy was in the Tuskegee Airmen. But for the most part, it's been Black American men putting it all the way down since all the way up until the 1980s before we start getting other brothers coming in. But it's Black America. You brothers have right. And you need to start asserting yourselves and asserting your rights. You need to start letting people know, no, this is what we've done. I've given you guys enough ammunition just on war history alone that you can begin to have some very decent, very serious conversations, and nobody outranks you, period. Because these white boys wouldn't have this country if it wasn't for the black men fighting in the Revolutionary War on their side. We would have lost it in the War of 1812 if black men hadn't joined up with the United States and fought the England off again. We wouldn't have it. Matter of fact, if it wasn't for the black men and who fought on behalf of the Union, the South would have won. So this is what you got to do. You got to assert yourselves. Whether it's World War I, World War II, the War of 1812, Vietnam, Korea, we participated and we fought and we died and we fought like men and we fought with extreme heroism and bravery. Remember when I was telling you guys, it was a time when they said black men would crack under pressure. Now look at all these, look at the Vietnam War. This is the first war where we've been fully integrated into the military, other than, yeah, they say the Korean War, but we had just been integrated. Vietnam was our first real test. And look how these black men showed up and showed out. You should be proud of them, man.
You know, you brothers, man, and the thing is, man, I know we always talk about African history, but why can't we talk about African American history? Why can't we talk about what our Black American brothers did? You know what? We talk about Hannibal. We talk about Shaka Zulu. Those men would be proud of these men that I've read about today. They would be proud of the men that I talked about the other day, 50 Cal Hal. They would be proud of them in the sacrifices they made, their tenacity and their will to fight under pressure, injured. We have our own heroes. We have our own Black American heroes, our own Black American superheroes. See, before comic books and superstar basketball players, your heroes were your war heroes. These are our war heroes. So hats off to them, man. At the time, at a nearby school, they would deliver the morning's milk and donuts at the rear where the kitchen was. While the school wasn't open yet, Sims' widow Mary Sims Parker, told the Tennessean he would go there and get some milk and donuts. And that's how he ate. Pittman survived off of kindness of strangers, Mary told the newspaper. He would go, imagine this little 13-year-old Black boy, you know, in the 6th grade, living in a school bus. And he would wake up every morning and get out that school bus and go down to behind the back of the school and get some donuts and milk. Because he had been abandoned by his family because they said it was too many mouths to feed. So he basically was out on the street on his own. The teacher told him, whenever you can come to school, I don't care if you're late. If you're clean, you can come to school and stay as long as you can whenever you can. This is how this young brother survived, man. Finally, after age 13, Clifton Pittman became Clifford Sims when he was adopted by James and Irene Sims. The teenager made it to high school and met Mary, fell in love, and in 1961 joined the Army. Mary said it was a perfect fit for him. I thought he couldn't get killed because he knew how to survive in the woods. She told the Tennessean that that's how his friends were too. They would go in the woods and catch frogs and make a fire and eat them like Boy Scouts. So when he went to the Army, I thought he already knows how to survive and do all that. So this man, look how this little boy grew up, man. He running in the Army, catching frogs and eating. This is what he was doing at 13. This is apparently a picture of him right here, y'all. Just so y'all know. I believe that might be. I'm not sure. Sims joined the 82nd Airborne Division in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, but he was later sent over to the 101st when the Army had to strap together a new company out of other units. The Delta Raiders, as the company was known, found themselves in the middle of a fierce fighting in Hugh, where the unit earned not one but 2 Medal of Honor. Sergeant Joe Hooper was the other recipient, and the jungles outside Hugh were where Sims earned his. The Raiders were assaulting a heavily fortified enemy position hidden in a dense forest. That day, according to Sims' medal citation, the 1st platoon was pinned down under heavy fire and at risk of being overrun, and the 25-year-old led his squad in a furious attack. This is what he did. The citation read, his skillful leadership provided that platoon with the freedom of movement and enabled it to regain the initiative, and the document continued. You guys kind of know the rest of the story, but this is his wife receiving his Medal of Honor. So I believe that's Spiru Agnew. So that's him. But you know, fellas, that's just a harrowing story, man. You know, to come from what he came from, I just find it amazing. But let's give a big hats off to Staff Sergeant Clifford Sims from Florida. It's a Florida boy right there. All right, and let's take a look at this brother right here, man. This is the last one for the night. If you guys appreciate what I'm doing, if you're motivated by what you read or what you see, make sure you contribute to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. All right, I want you guys to make sure you hit the number 1 button, because again, fellas, this ain't gonna be this is a niche market that I'm feeling right now. Nobody wants to hear about. Everybody wants to talk bad about Black men. Nobody wants to hear the good things we've done, all these successes. Nobody wants me to bring up the fact that we got from one war so far. We got how many? 4, 8 so far 16 Medal of Honor winners. We've talked about 16 Medal of Honor winners, black men from America. You know what I'm saying? I mean, black 16 so far. This is what we got. Think about that, family. Why can't we talk about that? Now, I got more, of course. I think I got 22 altogether. But let's think about that. We got 16 Medal of Honor winners, all with very unique, harrowing stories, amazing things. Brothers throwing on grenades, going back into the fight, risking their life, saving other people. You know, think about the bravery of these black men. Nobody could ever call black men, coward. As Dr. John Henry Clark said, the black man is the fiercest fighting machine on the planet. You know, how dare they doubt us ever? Look at this, what these brothers done. But I want to read on. This is John Earl Warren Jr. He's a first lieutenant, and I'm gonna read some about him. He was born. He was born November 16th, 1946, in January, and died January 14th, 1969. He was a United States Army officer and a recipient of the U.S. military's highest decoration, the Medal of Honor, for his actions in Vietnam. All right. He joined the Army in New York City, right? Way by York. How about that? On January 14th, this is our first one we got. He's Brooklyn. Shut up. Hey, Brooklyn is in the house, you guys. So he's from Brooklyn. So not only did he join from New York City, but he's from Brooklyn, according to this printout. So we got our first New Yorker, authentic New Yorker here. Shout out to the BK. I'm sorry, is that the Boogie Down? That's the Bronx. Shout out to Brooklyn. Yeah. So on January 14, 1969, as First Lieutenant Warren was commanding a platoon. So he's commanding the platoon, right? In Tay Ninh Province, South Vietnam, as part of the Operation Ton Thang 2, when the unit came under attack. During the fight, Warren fell on an enemy-thrown grenade to shield others' blast. The action cost him his life. Man, look at all these brothers, man, throwing themselves on grenades, man. Look at the bravery. For First Lieutenant distinguished himself at the cost of his life while serving as a platoon leader with Company C. While moving through a rubber plantation to reinforce another friendly unit, Company C came under intense fire from a well-fortified enemy force. Disregarding his safety, First Lieutenant Warren with several of his men began maneuvering through a hail of enemy fire towards the hostile positions. When he had come to within 6 feet of one of the enemy bunkers and was preparing to toss a hand grenade into it, an enemy grenade was suddenly thrown in the middle of his small group. Thinking only of his men, First Lieutenant Warren fell in the direction of the grenade, thus shielding those around him from the blast. His action, performed at the cost of his life, saved 3 men from serious mortal injury. First Lieutenant Warren's ultimate action of sacrifice to save the lives of his men was in keeping with the highest traditions of the military service and reflects great credit on him, his unit, and the United States Army. Warren is buried in Long Island National Cemetery in Farmington, New York. And so this brother, so we got another leader leading from the front, throwing himself on the grenade. This is what this brother did, man. So I'm going to take a little break, and we're going to come right back. In the meantime, you guys, anybody who wants to join the super chat, anybody would like to contribute to the super chat, go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and open the I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want to hear your thoughts on this conversation. But in the meantime, we'll be right back.
Hey, what's up, everybody? If you appreciate the format and you appreciate what we're doing here, then make sure you contribute to the Cash App. Make sure you contribute to the PayPal. Make sure you donate to the Super Chat. It's only you and your contributions that keep this thing going. Thanks.
How do you operate like that? How do these gentlemen operate like that? Look what all these men did. All this, I mean, talk about under pressure, right? Look what they did, man. The link is in the chat room. Look, this is an intimate setting. It's just us guys here.
We're talking about the heroism of black men who came before us. I want you guys to go ahead and come talk. Let's talk. I know there's a lot of military guys in here, and you know, I want you to debrief. You know, I want you to talk about it. Maybe some of these things that you heard kind of brought back memories of your time in the military, or some of you guys, we got Iraq war veterans. The war's been going on 20 years. Some of you guys went, and some of you guys' relatives or younger sons or your nephews went. If it's something you want to come talk about, man, come on in and let's talk. I want you guys to feel this as an opportunity to talk. These other black men need to hear your stories. We always hear about the thugs. We hear about the rappers and the entertainers. We hear their stories. I want to hear your story. I want to hear about your military time in the United States military with Army, Navy, Air Force, National Guard, whatever it is. I want to hear what you guys have to say. The link is in the chat room. It's open. This is your night. You know, this is part 4 of Black American military men, veteran war heroes. And I just want to hear what you guys have to say. So I'll give you a little bit more time to come in. And I just want you guys to come on in. But in the meantime, hit the #1 button for all these veterans. Let's hit the #1 button for all these veterans, guys. That's what I want you guys to do.
Hey, what's up, everybody? If you appreciate the format and you appreciate what we're doing here, then make sure you contribute to the Cash App. Make sure you contribute to the PayPal. Make sure you donate to the Super Chat. It's only you and your contributions that keep this thing going. Hey, if you're enjoying the content here at Dennis Sperling Unfiltered, make sure you support it by sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And also, hit that little notification bell in the corner so that you'll get notice of each and every one of our live feeds. The only time black men are allowed to speak is when it benefits others. So hey, this is your opportunity to speak. I want to hear from you. If you want to make this voice louder and clearer, what you need to do is contribute to the Cash App, the PayPal, and the Super Chat. I appreciate you.
All right, guys. So let's just recap what we saw here. We saw First Lieutenant Ruppert Leon Sargent. He was killed in action, and we saw his heroism. And then, of course, Specialist 5, my brother, good man from Texas, you know, acting as a medic, went out there and saved all those people under fire. You know, crawled through 100 yards of 100 meters of rice paddy. And then, of course, Staff Sergeant Clifford Chester saved his platoon twice. Grew up homeless in the panhandle of Florida and laid it out. The man is given nothing, and he laid it all out on the line for his guys. And then, of course, First Lieutenant John Earl Warren Jr. was killed in action. Who was he? Right. This is the brother that, you know, leading from the front, right? He made his way through a hail of fire, him and his team. And he was about to do what? He was about to throw a grenade at the enemy. They threw one at him. He jumped on it. You see what I mean? That's the lieutenant. He's leading the platoon. Every time I look in those war movies, the lieutenants are always at the back, and they sending guys out the front. But this is leading from the front, you know, and really put his life between death and the men that are following him. That's a hell of a leader right there. But we've seen so many examples of that. We've seen so much great leadership come from black men in the military. I don't know why we don't look to them more. Why don't we have discussions about, why isn't there a book about all the black American military men who won the Medal of Honor? I mean, why don't we have a Black American War Heroes book? Why don't we have a Black American? Why is this? I've never seen this, where we just talk about Black American military men, Vietnam War heroes. Why don't we talk about that? Why is this not something that? How long has the manosphere been around? What about before? We had Facebook, MySpace. I've never heard of any of these guys. Hear them tell it. White dudes are the only ones that do harrowing stuff. They're the only ones that fight. I mean, we got 16 right here that we talked about. Why are there no movies made about these Black American war heroes? Yeah, and I appreciate the 5 Bloods, but they were going back to get some money or something. These are men that left it all there. These black men right here from the good old USA, they left it all on the line fighting for this country. Why can't we acknowledge them? Why can't we acknowledge First Lieutenant Ruppert Leon Sargent, killed in action? Specialist 5, Clarence Eugene Sasser,
Staff Sergeant Clifford Chester Sims, killed in action. First Lieutenant John Earl Warren Jr., killed in action. Why is it that we've never heard of these men before? What have we been doing? So, you know, the thing is, and I always hear these discussions from, you know, generational stuff. Oh, the baby boomers did this, and, you know, the millennials did that, and the X generation and the greatest generation and all that sort of stuff. When I look at these gentlemen, the vast majority of them were members of the baby. This is what our fathers were giving up. This is what they put out. And here's the thing. Most of them, you know, they didn't want to go, but they went. They went. They went and they fought well. This is what they did. They made their sacrifice. So let's not continue to look at the past and blame them for what we didn't have. Because I've yet to see any of us in droves measure up. I've looked. I have not seen 22 black war heroes who've won the Medal of Honor since that time. I've looked. I found one black man who won the Medal of Honor post-Vietnam War. And that's with 20-year war in Iraq and Afghanistan and the first Gulf War. They made their sacrifice, fellas. We got to stop looking at the past and blaming the generation that came before us. We got to stop. We got to look. We got to try to figure out, damn, how can we match what they did? That's what we need to do. But again, I want to acknowledge the memory of First Lieutenant Ruppert Leon Sargent, killed in action. And that's him. That's him as a young man. And that's him again as an older man when he got killed. I want to acknowledge him. I want to acknowledge Clarence, Specialist 5, Clarence Eugene Sasser. You guys remember him? He was the medic. This is him. I want to acknowledge Clifford Chester Sims. Grew up homeless in the panhandle of Florida. Pushed his boys out the way, pushed his guys out the way, and jumped on a booby trap and absorbed the blast. Let's acknowledge him. Let's acknowledge First Lieutenant John Earl Warren Jr. Enemy threw a grenade at him. Him and his guys. He shielded them from the grenade blast, giving his own life in the process. Let's acknowledge these black men. All you military guys, all you guys that, you black men especially that served in the military, thank you for your service. Many of us don't know what you have to go through. I don't know what it takes to get a man to go from the position where he's selfish and only is looking out for himself to a point where he's willing to give his life and jump on a live grenade or jump in front of a bullet or jump on a booby trap, whatever it is, whatever type of men these are. Clearly, the best was brought out of them by the United States military. I don't care what anybody says. Or maybe it was the men around them. Maybe it was the camaraderie that they had. I don't know. But the bottom line is they were willing to give their lives so those men could push forward. So these names scrolling across the bottom of the screen, you guys, that's them. That's the heroes that we're talking about tonight on part 4. And we just want to acknowledge them. And I appreciate them myself.
In the meantime, you guys, thank you. It's been a wonderful evening. I've enjoyed myself. And come back tomorrow at 6:30, and we will conclude with part 5. We won't conclude, but we'll have part 5, and we'll continue forward with this process. I hope you've been inspired. I hope you military guys, you guys who spent time in the military, I hope you appreciate what we're doing here and acknowledging you. And it's the people who contribute to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal who keep this going. It's you guys, which is why I'm doing it. It's your interest, because look, we got 27 people in the chat room. So what does that mean? Most people don't want to hear about this. They want to hear about the latest social media IG model that messed around with some basketball player or football player. They don't want to hear about this. They don't want to hear about our warriors. They want the warriors when they need the warriors, but they don't want to acknowledge the warriors. You know, but for you guys, I hope this is inspirational. Remember, make sure you download this. There's no telling when, you know how these things go. The channels could go down, my channel could go down, and all this great research and information is lost. So you guys make sure you download all these parts. Parts 1 through 4 are up. You can cut and paste them any kind of way you want to. You can, whatever you want to do. I don't care. I just want our sons and our nephews to see this stuff. You know, nothing would delight my heart more than in 10 or 15 years for some kid to come up and say, man, I saw your special on Black American military men. You know, when I was a kid, and made me wanted to join the Marine Corps, or I wanted to join the Air Force or become a sailor or join the Army because of you. Or better yet, you know, that guy that you talked about, that was my granddaddy. You know, you talked about him on part 4, and by then I probably would have forgot. I'd got them all mixed up together. But nothing would warm my heart more than that. And I want you guys to keep these men's lives alive, keep their memories alive, acknowledge our war heroes. We need to remember our war heroes. We acknowledge the ones that went to jail. We acknowledge the ones that talk loud and, you know, gave the best sermons. We appreciate that. But it's these war heroes that push the civil rights movement. Why? Because they said, if these men are willing to fight and die for this country, certainly they should benefit from the rights that this country attributes to all these, the rights and benefits this country guarantees to all the other citizens. It's these military men. That's the secret. It's the military. It's these guys who are willing to put it on the line that made everybody in America say, no, we gotta do better by it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who it was. It doesn't matter what president it was. They could have been stone cold racist. Remember what happened after that brother came back from World War I or World War II, and he was disrespected and beat up by that sheriff, had both his eyes, Private Isaacs. Remember that? And the president said, we got to do better by this. We're going to integrate the military in the Korean War. Remember that? I mean, that was World War II, actually. Had his uniform on, going back home to Georgia. It's the military guys that push the line, fellas. It's that military service and these men's willingness to put it all on the line and die for this country, which is why we have been pushed forward. It's great to have a Martin Luther King. It's great to have, you know, all these great lawyers. It's great to have all of that. But the incentive, the motivation, it came from the service and sacrifice of these men who fought and died with such heroism. That's not for me. I'm looking at the history. And I noticed that each and every time Black men served in a military capacity and represent the United States on fields of battle, when they come back, things get better for us. Yeah, there's usually a fight, but they fight and they fight up. And so we gain more ground on that hill. Whether it was coming back from World War I, they fought up, we gained more ground. They came back from World War II, we fought up, they gained more ground. That gave rise to the civil rights movement. Remember that, fellas. Don't forget these guys, man. You know, when history is written, when the historians look back and say, they're going to say, well, you know, the former slaves who had come in from Africa and they became an integral part of the military and they fought bravely alongside of their former enslavers. And this was the way they were able to work their way up through. And this pushed the civil rights. That's what when you get away from it, when you look at it in a very sterile form, when you look at it, that's American history. this is what our guys did, man. But either way, man, God bless you. I love you guys. Thank you so much, man. I'm gonna leave this up a little bit. I'm gonna click off, but I'm gonna leave it on so you guys contribute to the super chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. So we're gonna be live for about 2 or 3 minutes after the outro, but that's just so you guys can contribute to the super chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. But other than that, this is Uncle D, and I'm out.